Hey skiers, it's Bob from skiessentials.com.
And I'm Emily.
Emily and I are here. We got a great women's all-mountain comparison. Skis 88 to 92. Kind of meat and potatoes, don't you think?
Absolutely. This is a pretty stacked list we have up here and a lot of versatility. And what I really like about this particular category is there's really something for everybody up here.
Totally. And we even managed to sneak in some twin tips. So some more fun, playful skis. And there's also different models. I'm just kind of looking at those K2s that, one is carbon and one is metal. So there's kind of differences even within a manufacturer and the Mindbender line specifically for K2.
Yeah, absolutely. And, if you're looking for a daily driver, a dedicated, groomer ski or a bump tree park ski.
Yep.
There's something for all applications up here.
Totally. But yeah, this is a really big selling category.
Yeah.
It's most people that aren't really sure what to get. They're general all-mountain skiers of, like you said, varying abilities and styles. This, there's got to be something here.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Let's kick it off with that nice shiny new twin tip on the side.
Yeah, it is definitely shiny.
Yeah, I know you're excited about these ARWs. Why
Yes.
don't you kind of start us off?
Yeah, this is I would say for the ARW series their most dedicated park ski. It still has a really great range of all mountain capabilities, but compared to the 94 and the 100, we are in the more narrow, most amount of camber and even a stiffer flex than the other counterparts.
Yeah. And still light. I'm 1,580 grams here on the scale. Very maneuverable.
Very maneuverable, but what Armada did with this new iteration is they wanted to make it just a little bit more energetic, a little bit more poppy and playful, while still maintaining a high level of durability and strength. So what we have is the poplar wood, which before it was poplar and Karuba?
It was ash. It was a heavier ash.
Heavier ash, that's right. So they kind of went in a different direction with the usage of wood, and then we are also getting the new wedge wall technology, which I'm sure everyone has heard that being thrown around, and it just is this really cool application for the sidewalls where it's like a molded injection, which just really adds to the durability. So for a park ski, if that's what you want to use it for, it goes a long way, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and the general consensus is that it makes the ski more cohesive.
Mm-hmm.
The sidewall is like tongue and groove pressed into the ski. So there's more unity between the sidewall material and the core of the ski, which is a totally new construction technique.
Yeah, so upon any impacts or, hitting features, I know Jeff put these ARWs to the test in the park, hitting rails and boxes, it has a much better chance of, maintaining that strength, which is just really awesome for how lightweight it is. That combination of durability and just the stiffer flex. I mean, it's pretty impressive given the weight.
No, there's a lot of energy and rebound in these ARW and ARV skis for sure. Mm-hmm. And like you said, this one kind of is a nice mix between park specific and then all mountain.
Yep.
So there's a lot of skiers out there that are, experimenting. They're park curious. Mm-hmm. They're looking to get more creative with their skiing. This is a great option, and you're not losing out too much on more directional all-mountain skiing.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I would argue that this would be a great bump and tree ski, too.
Totally.
If you're not looking for a park ski necessarily, but you're looking for a fun, lightweight, twin-tip ski that you can just kind of explore and be creative all over the mountain.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a great way to start. And, the first of 3 Armadas, which is
that's great.
Just as a brand, their commitment to making the, various skis in this range is pretty impressive.
Absolutely.
This is a Reliance 88C. So Reliance kind of starts narrow and goes up wider. We have the 92 Ti coming up next. But basically, this is 88 millimeters underfoot, lightweight Karuba wood core and carbon stringers throughout. And just an impressive amount of energy and stiffness. Like when you flex this thing, like I feel like carbon kind of gets a bad rap as being like used in the cheaper models of skis, but the energy you get out of this is pretty remarkable. And at 88 millimeters underfoot and with that more directional shape, really just highlights its all mountain and versatile nature. 1543, so right about the same weight as that ARW. And just lightning quick, excellent grip, very easy to ski. You know, especially when we stack it up against that 92 Ti, which is just a higher level of stability, basically.
Yeah, I think comparing it first to the, leading up to the Ti version, it just appeals to a wider audience of skiers.
Yeah.
You're still getting a high performance ceiling. You have that nice flex that you just showed. But I'd say as far as, skiing at speed, like this prefers to go at slower to more moderate speeds, which, plenty of skiers out there are going to be completely okay with that. As you get up to the Ti version, that's when you're wanting to push the speed limit a little bit more. You want to drive the ski more with more power and aggression. And this is still a fantastic ski and has a range of capabilities. I mean, it's like really responsive and lightweight and energetic, but you're not losing that performance ceiling in any way.
Yeah, and we'll see this conversation kind of repeat itself with the K2s there and even Liberty, Nordica, Salomon, where we have two very similar styles of skis and one just prefers going faster.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah, I can't see too many skiers getting on this and thinking, wow, I wish this had metal in it.
No, and like in the declivity versions are the same build, so like I have a lot of experience with this ski and I prefer this over the Ti version because it fits my style better.
Absolutely.
I prefer shorter, quicker turns on the side of the trail.
Yep.
So like it doesn't really matter how big and strong you are, it's more of your preference.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a nice segue to the 92 Ti,
which
everything that we just said about that ski, the construction of it just takes it to the next level in terms of dampness.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we were saying, we're getting the addition of metal to this particular version of the Reliance series. So we're getting the articulated Titanol banding, is that correct? Right. So for that, it's interesting because it's a cool application of metal in that it's full width underfoot and pretty wide and long in the tail, but then in the forebody they took, and I think you can actually see, I can see it.
I can see it.
Yeah,
I don't know if they can see it.
Yeah, so they took slits in the forebody and they removed some of the metal, and that just gives the ski a really nice, smooth turn initiation. So you have a little bit more of that responsiveness and just ability to drive the ski and have just, like I said, like a smoother, I don't know, more effortless time getting into that turn.
Yeah, and the kind of the reason behind that is the ski is able to flex and articulate. So when it's bending torsionally, more of the ski ends up being on the snow. Mm-hmm. So anytime that more ski or more edge, when we talk about like the length of effective edge and stuff like that, anytime there's more product on the snow, that equates to more smoothness.
Yep.
So yes, you'll certainly feel it versus the 88C, how this thing feels more planted to the snow. Mm-hmm. I just had it on the scale. It's 100 grams heavier, so that's kind of what that's your trade-off. You're getting a little bit more width, for slightly better soft snow performance, and then you're getting the metal for high speed dampness and stability.
Yeah.
But everyone who skis on these loves them.
Yeah.
Like Reliance and Declivity from Armada are just huge fan favorites.
Yep.
It's one of those things that you might overlook. It has more of a reputation as being in the ARW category, like Armada's a freestyle, free ride company, but they make phenomenal all-mountain skis.
Yeah, and it's awesome to see a brand like Armada, see what they're capable of as far as making just a stronger, higher performing ski that is, quite a little bit away from the ARW 88.
Yeah.
Like we're looking at different applications and just different feels and just overall build, and this is a really highly successful and just really fun ski.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And that's kind of, that theme continues.
It does.
Certainly with the next one, the Black Crow's Captis Birdie. This is one of those skis that, you know, we're both fans of the Atomic Bent 90.
Yes.
And that is a nice, lightweight, easy to use ski. We both love it in the moguls.
Yes.
Easy in the trees, really fun. If you're asking me if I would change it out for another 90 millimeter underfoot twin tip, this is on my list.
Yep.
So pretty simple build, poplar wood core, fiberglass laminates, and that's about it.
Yep.
The beauty of this is in the shape and the profile, and that's where this thing really separates itself from the field here. So we do have a lot of nice positive camber underfoot. Like anytime that you're seeing nice feedback out of the camber, that's them building energy into the ski. Something you don't really get out of, something I don't really get out of the Bent 90. Probably different for you, but you know, not a ton of rocker, so it does have that more, that longer effective edge, and you're really able to kind of rip into it and get what you want out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a nice high performance ceiling to this ski and just a smooth and consistent flex. And that's what you're getting when you have like a poplar wood, like a full wood core, same wood, consistency, full fiberglass laminates.
Yeah, it's a nice progressive, consistent flex throughout, and the fiberglass adds that, you know, level of stiffness that just enhances the performance a little bit more. And, you know, it has a directional side cut, so it's able to make a lot of different turn shapes and styles. So you're not, you know, you're not limited to just the quick energy underfoot, which is obviously, you know, its forte, I would say, like in the bumps and the trees, you're going to notice that. But it's also able to kind of open up and make a little bit longer style turns as well.
Yeah.
So if you're on piste and you're wanting to just, you know, change it up a little bit, you're certainly not limited.
Yeah. And just about 1,600 grams here in the 160. And again, that's kind of a factor, like a little more heft to it, which I think is nice. You know, it's not just a featherweight that is easily flickable around. It's there's some substance here to this ski.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I've always enjoyed about it.
Yeah. Yeah, super fun.
And then park application too. You know,
Absolutely.
This is another one that just kind of fits in with, you know, it's a twin tip, but it does other things really well too.
Absolutely.
Which is pretty awesome. This one's been around a while.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this Blizzard Black Pearl 88, I mean, what is this? Maybe one of the best-selling women's skis, you'd say?
I think so. I just remember our first ski test. This was one of our female testers just equated it to like the black dress of the ski world. Like,
I have not heard that, and that's perfect.
Like, totally acceptable anywhere and everywhere in any type of like.
Yeah, I think of like Swiss Army knife or, you know, like the jack of all trades, but the black dress, that's like, yeah, you always need a black dress. And so, yeah, you're going to find a reason to use and want the Black Pearl 88.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the construction is awesome. We're getting Blizzard's True Blend wood core, which, you know, as I've noticed in a lot of the other skis in the Blizzard line, like the Shivas, that use of the True Blend wood core just gives Blizzard this ability to fine-tune the flex pattern in a way that just from, you know, tip to tail, you're getting just really predictable, intuitive feel throughout when you're skiing it. And then we also have the, is it a Titanol plate underfoot?
Yeah, it's like just extends past the binding zone. So it's structural underfoot. It doesn't really affect how the tips and tails or forebody and back end of the ski feel, but certainly adds that underfoot dampness, edge grip, and the additional torsional stiffness.
Yeah, absolutely. So all in all, just a ski that I would recommend to just so many different people.
Yep. And it's funny because when this thing first came out, it was very groundbreaking in terms of shape. And there's a big difference between what we see here in splay, like this distance. Like it's very abrupt.
Very.
You know, that's kind of, it shows the ski's age, I guess I would say. Like, because it's been so successful, they haven't found a need to change it.
Yeah.
So a lot of these other skis have kind of caught up and brought their own, modern twists to the table. And so this ends up being more of a traditional directional shape. So because the rocker isn't long, then the camber starts very high up on the ski. And that gives you that longer effective edge as opposed to something that's more rockered when we look at this this new E-Cross next, and actually both Dynastars. There's certainly a different style.
Much more dramatic. Yeah.
Yeah. But this definitely has that more traditional feel to it. And we see that in the tail too. There's low rocker, but there's not a whole lot of splay.
Yep.
So certainly compared to something like that Captis, that's a lot, just more of a true twin tip. This one is just a lot more at home on trail.
Yeah.
And like through crud and chop, that flatter tail really kind of
gives
cuts
you precision
right through.
and yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and these ones are cool. We got on, so the M-Cross and the E-Cross from Dynastar, same ski. We got on these late last year, and it was one of these ones that kind of snuck up on us. We talked a lot about the Black Crow's Mirrorless Core and just this new trend of shorter turn shapes into an all-mountain ski. Black Crow's Mirrorless Core does it in more of a free ride, freestyle mentality. This one does it more directionally. So there's a few new things here. One is that new or interesting shape, I would say.
Yeah.
Wide shovel, narrower tail. So the initiation is very direct and precise, and then nice short arc through the tail. So the shape is interesting. And then from a construction perspective, they use Dynastar's new hybrid core. So like an E-Pro, I should say, they've always used the hybrid core, which consists of polyurethane along the sides. This keeps that. There's more polyurethane in the shovel and in the tail. And then the mid-cord, the wood core, is a very interesting technique. So we talked about the kind of tongue and groove with the ARW. These use one horizontal laminate of wood, and then two that are like joined together. They're like milled and then pressed together. So really interesting way. The idea here is that they're reducing the amount of adhesives used in the ski, so that central core is just pressed together and kept together by friction, reducing adhesives and lowering environmental impact. So they're trying. And I feel like anytime a company is making a very good product while reducing carbon footprint, like that's
Definitely,
a good thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the ski has quite the unique feel. And what I find really cool is that, upon looking at it, you're looking at this, obviously the shovel is just like really dramatic.
Yeah,
and you
it's
look at the rest
massive.
of the wall and you're like, okay, wow, that stands out. So I think for most people that would see this, they would think, oh, okay, that looks like, it does really well in soft snow, and it just can like kind of plow through things, and probably has just like a wider turn radius, but it's a really crisp turner. Like it has a tight turn radius.
This thing's 11 meters.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, I just feel like the shape is deceiving where you wouldn't expect it to perform like that. And I think that's really awesome, and just the construction attributes that you just mentioned, it just gives it such a strong but maneuverable feel, and you do get that shape in the tip. So when you do encounter soft snow, you have that ability to float and just kind of have that smeary kind of behavior. But underfoot and through the tail, it's just really, really quick and responsive.
Yeah, and there's 2 layers of metal under there too. I forgot to mention that. This H-shaped laminate here. So there is metal there. Those arms extend a little bit into the forebody and through the tail. So it's just kind of modulating where the pressure is, right in front and behind your feet. And you can really feel just the smoothness and the power, especially in the underfoot zone of this ski.
Yeah, it allows like obviously it ends about here, which I don't know if it carries over on film, but it's just kind of keeping that whole zone planted on the snow. It gives you that nice ski to snow contact. Yeah,
and great new ski, like new shape, new build, very successful.
Yeah.
Another one of these ones that people get on it and are impressed at how well it turns.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have you grab one of those E-Pros, just as like a little bit of a contrast here, because they go about this in different ways. Like the shovel shape of the E-Pro is a lot narrower, and the taper is a lot earlier, whereas this one just has more of a bow out to it, and that speaks to the initiation of this ski versus the E-Pro, which requires a little bit more skier input.
Yes.
So like, it's subtle, but it's there.
It is.
And it speaks to how Dynastar kind of makes two different skis even within 2 millimeters of each other.
Right.
You know, this is another one of those conversations where this company is making two very different skis that are very close together on this wall.
Yep.
But I really enjoy these E-Pro 90s.
Yeah, I do too. It definitely, I think the conversation that continues with this ski is like the skier's ski,
Right.
and you know, just the amount of power and feedback that you get from the midsection through the tail is really surprising. So, you know, on the right feet, it delivers, but
Yep.
you definitely want to be a skilled skier to ski this because of the, you know, the business-like tail and just the high performance ceiling.
Yeah, it doesn't like yank you into a turn, kind of like the E-Cross does, and I say that in a good way. Like, you know, like your input has more to do with it, but certainly, like you said, that full metal underfoot, more metal in the tail, really makes for that stiffer flex. And this rocker profile here in the tip is very, very long and dramatic. If we kind of compare that to what Black Pearl had, where nothing started until about here.
Yeah.
So there's another 10 to 12 centimeters of ski that isn't engaged in the snow until you get it up on a higher edge angle. So like the end result is pretty similar, but the length in which they do it is very different. So that's kind of where the initiation phase comes into play. But very smooth. You know, these also use their hybrid core polyurethane, but still just focus on a poplar wood core throughout the rest of the ski.
And it's what is it, the Titanal rocket frame? Is that what they use for the,
so through the middle and then wider into the tail.
Which is a unique use of it. It's really cool, and it like leaves the forebody of the ski just that much more maneuverable and responsive, and then you're just, you know, it's cool how it, you know, starts to taper towards the tip, but then it's full width throughout the rest. And it's just a really fun but powerful ski for sure.
And when we get to the Mindbender TI, we'll see the flipped version of that rocket frame.
Yep.
So again, interesting how two different companies even go about putting metal in a ski in different ways.
Absolutely.
No metal here.
No metal here, but in that conversation of the carbon technology and just how well it mimics metal, keeps the weight down, gives you just an amazing amount of energetic responsiveness, and still a great amount of stiffness too. So we're getting the tube light wood core in here, as well as carbon tube technology.
So the tubes run along the side, and that's kind of where tube light comes from, is that they're removing the wood to put in the tubes. And the cool thing is they do it along the sidewall, following the shape of the ski, so they're put in under pressure.
Yes.
So they're already building in energy.
Preloaded energy.
Yeah, preloaded, exactly.
Yeah, this is a crowd pleaser for sure. I really, really love the whole Ripstick line. I feel like it's a ski that, upon talking to people when they're describing what they're looking for an on-trail ski, I find myself always recommending the Ripstick, because there's a lot going on in the construction and technology of this ski, but it's just so intuitive and just a blast to ski. The amphibio profile, just with the camber on the inside edge and the rocker on the outside edge, just gives you that ability to really lean in and drive energy towards your downhill ski, and you don't feel necessarily completely locked in, but you have really good grip, and then it leaves the uphill ski just a little bit looser and more flexible, and it's just, it feels, I keep saying it, it's just like really natural.
Yeah. I think I used the word cohesive with one of these, with the ARW, in terms of building the sidewall into it. And I'd say this as well, because when you put them together, the right one on the right and the left one on the left, from a construction and shaping profile, it almost feels like one unit.
Yes.
You don't really feel like you have like two independent skis doing different things. It's very easy to get them to do the same thing. And, you know, same build as the men's Ripstick 88, which, like, for me at my size, I should like overpower it on paper, but some of the skiing I look back on, like, it looks very smooth. And I remember feeling like extremely confident, even though this ski's 1,450 grams. Like, it's super light.
Absolutely.
And even has, you know, one of the softer shovels up here on the wall. But that doesn't seem to matter. Once you get the carbon tubes activated and take advantage of that amphibio profile, then it all makes sense.
Yeah, it's a blast on piece. I mean, I love a ski that has really good edge grip, that you can really, you know, put a lot of powerful energy into, but that, you know, is not going to just keep you railed in a turn.
Right.
It kind of shoots you in and out of each turn, and it's just so fun. And I remember just like getting air off little things on the trail, and they're just, you know, they just felt like exactly what you said, like one entity. So it just shows what Elan does with this line. It's just really impressive.
Yeah, and kind of the first on our series of a couple carbon-powered skis coming up, which head goes about it a very different way.
Yes.
And I'm interested in your take on this, because these Core 91s and all Core skis in general seem to work a little bit differently for different skiers. Instead of carbon tubes in this thing, we have two full laminates of carbon. So lightweight Karuba wood core, similar to what we see in Reliance from Armada. One layer of carbon on the bottom, and then there's another full layer on top, which is actually curved. And anytime you're putting carbon in a three-dimensional format, it really increases the stiffness. You know, just if you think about one laminate hanging out, it might flop, but if you curve it, it's putting more structural integrity to it. So these end up being really stiff. And with stiff, light carbon power, you get reactivity. For someone my size, I like it. I can bend it. I always feel like lighter skiers with good technique, like yourself, don't quite get the same benefits. You'll get different benefits. You'll get agility, precision, quickness, but do you get the same stability at speed in a carved turn that I get on this ski? I'm not sure.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I really, really love this Core series, and the first day that I got on them, you know, I'd heard a lot about them. I have some of my athletes who ski them, and, you know, upon getting on them, I was really shocked at how light they were, and so I wasn't expecting the level of stability and power and strength at speed that they did have. But I would agree that, like, I am lighter weight, so, you know, getting them up on edge and just having the same level of strength as, say, you would, I don't think that I'm able to access it as much as you are, but that is, I think, a really awesome testament to it, because, you know, there's a range of skier types that can still find a lot to love and, like, reap the benefits of this ski.
Yeah, and so 1,500 grams, very similar to that Elan. I mean, it's just an incredible blend.
But the flex.
Yeah, the flex is crazy. You know, and like I own the Core 93, which is the same build as this. And we've kind of found that the skier that does this flat really likes these skis. And then the skier that can get them up to this angle, like myself, also really enjoys them. It's the mid-range where you start to see kind of the reactivity of the carbon start to maybe hit the negative side of the spectrum.
Yep.
But for most skiers, like the lightweight and the agility and the precision generally outweigh any type of negative chatter you might get. And they've also done a better job over the years of putting in damping layers just to kind of mitigate that, because they understand how that goes. You can't have something so light and so stiff that holds as stable as a declivity 92 or
Right, exactly.
a Kenja or something like that.
Yeah,
So,
like my on-piste performance on, say, the Mindbender TI, 89 Ti, or the Santa Ana 88, obviously is
Yeah.
going to be different. But I will say that I really, really love these in the bumps and the trees.
yeah,
So that's where that lightweight, agile nature really came through. And then, you know, being able to transition from, you know, bumps and trees back onto groomers and still have that strength and power is really impressive. So
no, I love them. I picked them last year. You know, my kids are getting to be better skiers. And
Yep.
so I needed something that I could still be maneuverable, because they're tiny and they fit in the tight woods.
yeah,
And like, you know,
you're
so
following them in there.
yeah. And so like I need something that's agile and can float and still do off-piste stuff. But then when we get on the trail, like they're gone.
Yeah.
And I want to keep up and actually like perform.
Sure.
Or rather like, or even so like now I go first.
Yeah.
And then they come down.
Lead
So
the charge.
I get to have, you know, a third of the run by myself. So I want something that performs really well in both situations
Totally.
and is not too tiring for me.
Right.
You know, I can see how it would be demanding for someone who's less strong or less skilled,
Yes.
because it is stiff, but at the same time, that lightweight balances it.
Yeah, just because you're a lighter weight skier doesn't mean you can just hop on these. And
Right.
Yeah, but I do remember you bringing that up, just that this ski really is kind of ideal for those applications, like skiing with your kids and having that agility in the woods, but then also being able to perform.
Right.
Which
Or
is
if I
awesome.
bring them out just by myself on a day.
Sure.
Like it's just a wonderful all mountain ski for here in Vermont.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The Mindbender 89 Ti. This is, for me, this ski really stood out. I really, really loved the performance and the precision and control that I was able to access from these skis. And, you know, kind of in the same conversation as what we were talking about with the Reliance series. Like we're kind of going the opposite direction though. We're starting with the Ti and then we're moving into the carbon fueled version. But this Mindbender 89 Ti is just a really strong performing ski with great precision on piste, and it also has like a pretty fun-loving personality and is really maneuverable and responsive as well.
Yeah, they accentuated that 2 years ago when they changed it to this new shape and style. Put more longer rocker into the tips and tails. They moved the metal down further in the ski, so this has a Y-beam shaped metal laminate, and it's the total opposite of E-Pro 90's rocket frame. So this has wider metal in the forebody, still full width underfoot, and then it tapers in the tail. A couple years ago, that metal in the forebody came up a little bit high and ended up being kind of on the reactive side. So by shrinking that metal lengthwise and lengthening the rocker, they added more free ride influence to it. Also, it has a pretty short turn radius.
Yeah.
This is a really, really nimble ski. I don't think I have my radius on mine. Do you have the sticker on the back of yours?
I do. So it's 13 in the 164.
Yeah, which is like, that's pretty short. You
Yeah.
know, we had 11 in that E-Cross and 13 in this one. So it's definitely likes to be on edge. And I found that the tail end of this really finishes the turn strong.
Yeah.
Really nice kick out of the end of the turn with these skis for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly more on the spectrum of Reliance and E-Pro and Kenja and Stance and Stockli, Santa Ana as well, versus the more carbon powered skis. And we'll kind of see the difference between this and that 90, you know, especially in terms of just flex and damping properties.
Yeah, and you know, I'm thinking of the 99 Ti and just how the difference in the waist width just adds that more bulk, and it's just feels a lot more like a lot more work, just because
Yeah.
you're working with a, you know, just a wider ski with a good amount of metal in it. And this, you know, Y-beam technology that's utilized in this, plus just like a pretty versatile waist width, just leaves you with a really nice blend of construction, shape, profile, and it just gives you, you know, the ability to, yeah, like with the rocker and just the metal move down, you can really like bend into the tip and you know, have a little bit more maneuverability, and then just really, really strong and precise in the midsection and through the tail.
Little heavier, 1,714 grams. And I kind of want to get this 90 up here just for a comparison.
Yeah.
The Mindbender 90C, so 1,500 grams. So
Quite a
about
bit.
200 gram drop between these skis. And that's mainly a factor of replacing that Y-beam with carbon spectral braiding.
Yep. Yep.
So similar to what we talked about with the Armadas, with the Reliance, excuse me, speed and aggressiveness is the big determining factor here.
Yes.
But the 90C is just a really well-rounded ski. Like, it's a nice, even flex. The carbon spectral braid allows the tip to be more torsionally stiff, and then the tail to be a little bit more longitudinally stiff. So it follows the same characteristic of the TI version with more stuff in the front and less stuff in the back, but does it with carbon stringers instead of metal.
Yep.
So super maneuverable, really easy to ski, and you know, a better floater
Yep.
than that TI version if you're interested in trees and bumps, shorter turns, more agile skiing. I think this is a better option for a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the use of carbon in this with the spectral braiding, at like having it a tighter weave in the shovel than in the tail, it's giving you just, you know, great feedback upon initiating a turn, but then you're not feeling as if you're just gonna struggle to get out of that turn as you would in the Mindbender 89 Ti. So it just appeals to a wider range of skiers, progressing intermediates that want, you know, just that higher performance ceiling and stiffness rating, but still a lot of forgiveness and agility. I mean, I would recommend this ski to, again, a lot of people, like I was saying with a couple of the other ones over here.
Yeah, like Ripstick is a good
Yep.
a good comparison where you're looking for something that's light, carbon powered, you know, a flexible shovel, so easy turn initiation, and then just a friendly overall character.
Yeah.
Like, and we talked about, Jeff and I, we did a front side ski comparison recently, and kind of caught ourselves using intermediate in like a negative context.
Got it.
Which, like, it's totally not.
Yeah.
Like, there's a ton of intermediate skiers in the world, and like this ski fits that application really well.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have to reach for something like a Mindbender 89 Ti, or they shouldn't have to downgrade to, you know, a high-end rental or something like that. Like,
exactly.
a lot of companies are making nice intermediate skis, and that's kind of what this is.
Yeah, with advanced technology and,
Yeah.
and construction features, and appealing to just a broader range of skiers, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I'd say, you know, on a given day that you're at the mountain, probably mostly intermediates,
Right.
who are looking to progress and, you know, have a ski that inspires confidence. You know, you don't want to be on a ski that deters you and makes,
Sure.
you know, and is tiring, and you're just not wanting to spend the day skiing. You know, this is gonna just make you enjoy it and want to keep skiing and learning, and I think it's an awesome ski.
And like, fair to say that we spent more time this past year on the 96 and the 106 versions of this carbon ski, and you know, just having that extra width and material and something that's light, I think is better for skiers like us that just need a little bit more stuff underfoot. But there's a huge range of skier for this thing. Another new one here, Emily.
Yes.
Kastle Obsidian 92. We were introduced to this pretty, maybe January of
Yeah,
this
it was
year.
early.
Pretty early season stuff. Kastle has had the ZX line that we've seen in the past few years, and that's more of a metal-free free ride line. So this is the women's introduction to that category, Obsidian 92. Same build as the ZX 92, so a blend of poplar and beech in the wood core and fiberglass layers. So when you think about Kastle as a company, you're mainly comparing it to Stockli in terms of quality and price. Obsidian is a little bit different. So they're trying to introduce Kastle to a different demographic. So you don't have to have the MX or the higher end FX series of skis. So Obsidian kind of makes it a little bit more affordable, kind of like a gateway ski to the Kastle world. And in my opinion, what I like about these Kastle skis is the energy out of the tail. And I love the ZX 92 and 100. Pretty sure you had a good time on these Obsidians as well.
I was just going to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe you didn't hear it, but I'm pretty sure the guys at Kastle told me I was maybe the first person to ski this.
That is a nice accolade.
I know. And maybe I'll be corrected, but they introduced it as a brand new ski. Not if not the first, but one of few that had been on it yet. And we had skied a lot of the other skis that you just mentioned that fall more in line with Kastle's brand and reputation.
Like precision, carving, like stiffness.
Like full metal and just really strong performing aggressive skis. And then, they put me on this and they said, I think you're going to like this one. It's a little bit different. It's a newer kind of focus for Kastle. It's like a little more free ride oriented, but still pretty narrow waist width wise. And I really, really love these. I mean, they were damp and stable enough to bring up to speed, but as you mentioned, like the energy out of the tail and just throughout the whole length of the ski was just amazing.
I feel like we like similar skis.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Funny. Like,
totally.
Just kind of lighter weight, energetic, poppy skis. And if it has, a more forgiving shovel, I'm cool with that too. You just kind of have to adjust your style a little bit, not to drive too hard into something like this. But if you stay four-body back and more your emphasis is there, it works for bigger skiers. But this is a narrower version of wider skis. So there's free ride influence here, like you were saying, they're incorporating this free ride. And that's where we see this longer rocker. This is probably one of the best soft snow skis. QST is going to give it a run for its money for sure. Maybe a Genesis 90, but at 92 underfoot with a lot of tip rocker, this is a really fun soft snow ski. But then you get the tail, pretty directional and low profile. Certainly more in line with what we see from Kastle and other skis, and that's just more direct and reactive. So pretty clean ski from Kastle, and it's easier to maneuver. So another example of kind of this high-end intermediate ski.
I was just going to say, it's like it's making it more available to more skiers. Because the Kastle lines are definitely geared towards more advanced skiers. And so this is a great, like you said, gateway ski for skiers who want this like high quality ski with a range of capabilities but isn't quite on that skill spectrum yet. And this is a really cool ski for Kastle, and I had a blast on it. I was going to follow what you were saying with just that because of its weight and its versatility, you could almost argue that it could be a touring ski if you wanted, which is, again, adding to its capabilities and versatility.
Yeah, and I like how Kastle doesn't specifically mention that, where they're like, well, there is a skin notch on the tail, but we're not gonna use the word. 1,580 grams. I mean, it's right there with being efficient enough for uphill travel for sure. And then when you add in the soft snow mentality to it, there's no reason you couldn't use this as uphill only, 50-50, kind of whatever you want.
Yeah.
But yeah, awesome skis. And then we move a little bit more back to the directional side. Liberty, kind of like Armada, where they're traditionally known for being free ride oriented. But then they come out with these Evolv series of skis and totally like blow the front side out of the water.
Yeah.
Like these are about as smooth and quiet as it gets. Different construction here than we see in some other skis. Blend of poplar, bamboo, and paulownia wood in this. We get carbon stringers, and then we also get vertical metal laminates. So instead of having a horizontal sheet, there's 3 vertical struts of metal that run through the center of the ski. And those do a really great job of absorbing the vibrations. Makes this thing incredibly smooth and quiet. And like, I think one of the quietest skis out there.
And a really, really impressively good carving ski.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not getting much rocker or taper in this ski, so you have a long effective edge.
Yeah, very traditional shape.
Yeah, and just like thick sidewalls, and just with the metal in here and the placement of it, it's just, it provides really strong edge grip, and not necessarily, for me, not what I would expect from a ski from Liberty. So
1,600 grams. So the fact that they're able to get the dampness and stability of a much heavier duty ski like a Kenja at a lighter weight speaks to that vertical metal technology. And again, it's kind of like putting it in a 3-dimensional form like Head does with carbon or Elan does with their tubes. So just a different way of using these additional materials to create a specific effect. Jeff always makes fun of me. I talk about like the bamboo in this ski and how you had mentioned the thick sidewalls. They're making up for a lighter weight wood with amount and height of it. And I call it insulative. And he always makes fun of me because he thinks that I'm insinuating that these skis are warmer on your feet versus...
That would be really quite nice.
I know. That's the next level.
Yeah, maybe next year.
Yeah. But we see it with the next Liberty as well, this Genesis 90. Similar to Evolv, 1 metal strut instead of 3.
Yep.
So that's the big construction difference. And then shape-wise, you want to put those together.
Yeah.
And, the rocker and taper is vastly different than what we see in Evolv. Yeah, like mine starts here.
Right.
And yours is down here.
Yep.
And then taper shape as well. Like this thing is just kind of flatter, more squared off. Yours is sharper, that rounder shape to it.
Yeah, like you said, just like more traditional.
Yeah.
This is veering more into that free ride shape, giving it just, a little bit more playfulness, a little bit more float, but still you're getting that vertical metal strut that, is somewhat recent over at least the past couple of years, right?
Yeah, it didn't used to have it.
Yeah, and it just really ramped up the torsional stiffness and just stability and strength at speed. So you're not just working with, free ride oriented ski that is meant for soft snow and, just kind of playing all over the mountain. You're getting that enhancement in the construction to really give it more strength on piste in firmer conditions.
Have you gotten to Ski Moguls on this?
I don't think so.
It's pretty good. It's one of those skis that has the right flex. It's hard to dial it in. Some of these skis are softer in the shovel and stiffer in the tail, and it's a little inconsistent. And these just have the right consistent flex for like really keeping the ski on the snow. There's little to no deflection, like the thing goes where you want it to go and just stays really, really well connected. Very confidence inspiring, like bumps and trees.
Yep.
Those shorter, tighter turns. And the metal does a really good job of like taking this and having it not feel awkward.
Yep.
So all skis are gonna shake and chatter.
Yep.
It's how gets absorbed before it gets to your feet is
Yeah.
what matters. So that's kind of what that vertical metal does for Genesis.
Yep.
Because you're going to get a lot more of this movement, a lot more of this flex on this ski based on what you're supposed to be doing
Right.
versus something like the Evolv.
Right. And sure, there's going to be harder charging carving skis on this wall. There's going to be more forgiving, more playful skis, like, down in this area, like the Captis. But for someone who wants just a free ride oriented all mountain ski that can kind of do a little bit of everything, that's an awesome choice.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%, and very much kind of the opposite of the Santa Ana.
Yes.
Which is a lot more heavy duty.
Yeah. One of my favorites, though, I had a blast on all the Santa Anas. This one being the narrowest of the series, and
there's an 84 too, but it's a very different shape.
yes,
So they really square the tail off. Different
more in
shovel
line with
shape.
the rest of the
Yeah.
Santa Anas. This would be the narrowest of those with this footprint, and just more on-piste capabilities.
Yeah.
I would say it's definitely more. Its format is on trail. Doesn't mean it's limited by any means, given the versatile shape and the waist width. But as far as the construction, the terrain-specific metal that we're getting in this is just they're applying it to adhere to the designed application of more on-piste focus.
It's interesting how they do it with that metal laminate, because they basically have one shape of metal laminate for all the Santa Ana skis, but then as the skis get wider, the metal takes up less of the ski.
Mm-hmm.
So on this one, the metal is a lot closer to the edge, and that's giving you that high level of precision and power.
Yep.
But it's also cool because it's full in the shovel and full in the tail, full underfoot, and then just a little bit taken out kind of in the forebody and then behind the binding zone, and that gives you kind of increased mobility.
Mm-hmm.
But 1,730 grams, right up there with the K2 Mindbender 89 Ti in terms of being heavy.
Yep.
So you do have to be ready for that, and it's pretty stiff.
Yeah.
It's not like this is not the intermediate ski.
No.
Like, this is a higher end product for sure that's capable of making very, very fast and aggressive turns.
Yep. But I will say I was really surprised at how I had an easier time than I expected maneuvering these skis in like bumps or tighter terrain, given the amount of metal and the stiffer flex. They do still have like a really nice level of responsiveness and just maneuverability. I was really impressed by that, and I think when Jeff and I were talking about the wider versions of the Santa Ana, he brought up that, given my style of skiing, I was really benefiting from the construction and the amount of metal in this on my landings.
Yeah.
So it was, I was able to control them and maneuver them, but then just really benefiting from how sturdy they are underfoot.
Yeah, I mean, it's solid. I love watching you and Megan.
Yeah.
Our friend Niffer, who we've skied with before, collegiate racer. Like, you all make this thing look amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, high edge angles, clean deep carves. I love watching it, and that's just, not just a testament to your all skiing, but
Totally.
very much this is the ski that allows that to happen at such a high level.
But definitely meant to be on the feet of a skilled skier.
Yeah, and someone that knows. Yeah, you gotta know what you're doing to access the entirety of the performance.
Right. Absolutely.
And if you're not that skier and you still want something with the same shape
Perfect
and
segue.
everything that we've talked about,
Yep.
There's this unlimited version of the Santa Ana 88.
Just weight difference.
Yeah, we've talked about the Santa Ana, so almost 500 gram drop.
That's crazy.
1,260 grams. It is a shorter size, but still, it is a much lighter version. So they're using a more macro block style of wood in the core, so thicker stringers, and that requires less adhesive. And a lot of these skis, the adhesive is weighty.
Yes.
So when you're reducing the amount of adhesive, taking the metal out, replacing it with carbon, similar to what we saw with K2, where they have their metal version and their carbon version, that's where Santa Ana 88 Unlimited comes into play. They, unlike Kastle, are putting their spin on it and saying, this is a hybrid touring version of the Santa Ana 88.
Yep.
I don't love that the company does that. I think that restricts skiers who would be very, very happy on this ski from using it as a resort-specific application.
Yeah, I think that people see that and read that, and it kind of steers them away. Like, oh, that's going to be too light, or I don't need a touring-specific ski. And I completely agree. It's like, I love that Nordica saw the appeal and the success of the general footprint of the Santa Ana, but thought, hey, why don't we kind of switch up the construction, obviously, and make it just more accessible for more skiers who don't want a ski with metal like that.
Yeah.
Because it is the same shape overall, right?
Yeah, it's the same exact footprint.
Same shape, yeah. I wasn't sure if the tail, but it is the same, yeah.
It's the same.
Yep.
Yeah, and like we talked about with the Elan, just that lightweight energy. It's only 100 and something grams lighter than the Elan. So it's not like it's a randonnée, like race uphill ski.
Yeah.
Like there's still a lot of downhill and resort potential here.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of skiers out there who want a proven shape, like that's what we talked about with Santa Ana and Enforcer for years. Like this is a proven shape that works really, really well. Let's make it a little bit more accessible.
Yep.
But great snap and energy coming out of this. We have found that with these hybrid skis, the touring versions of regular ones, that the narrower they get, the more touring kind of specific they are. So you also have a Santa Ana 104 Unlimited, and that thing falls more to resort soft snow than this, which is like a little bit more uphill oriented. But overall, I really like how they're taking their proven and existing shapes, making it lighter, more accessible, and this is a great option for a lot of skiers who just want a light and easy ski to get around the mountain on.
Yeah.
You're not going to get the top end performance. You're not going to get Santa Ana feel. You're not going to get Mindbender 89 Ti. You're going to get quickness, energy, agility, and ease of use.
Yeah.
And like so many skiers are like, I just want something that's easy.
That's all I want. Right. Yeah. So this is an awesome option.
Yeah, totally. And it shouldn't just be viewed as a touring ski.
Yeah.
What do we got here? Rallybird 92 Ti. You've spent some time on this thing.
I sure have. This is just the 92.
Sorry, yes, Rallybird 92.
The 104 Ti is the, the top tier of the Rallybird series, which I've spent time on all of them. And what I had said previously in another video about the 92 and the 102,
102,
is that most skiers are going to get on the ski and be so impressed and so shocked at how damp and quiet and stable feeling it is while still being really responsive. The shape is it's a more directional shape than some of the other skis up here. So you're getting really good edge grip and carving capabilities on piste, but you're not going to get on this and think, oh man, I wish this had metal in it.
Right.
So it just goes to show what they're doing with the construction, which the Rallybirds have, I think they have a little bit more going on in the construction than you would expect.
The one here, the Polonia wood core, like Polonia is interesting. It's light but stiff.
Yep.
So you're getting that contrasting thing from the wood, as opposed to something like a head core, which uses carbon to do the same thing.
Yep.
So like the bulk of this ski, like the core, is used for that process.
Yep.
And that's the interesting part of the build here, for sure.
Yep, and then signature Rossignol construction material, the Diago fiber?
Diago fiber?
Fibers? Yeah. Yeah, that's always an interesting one to me. And I think it just really enhances the level of dampness and stability throughout the ski, which I think that's one of the biggest takeaways for me with this ski is just how silent and smooth it is.
Yeah. And like from a directional perspective, this thing goes more along with Reliance 92, even Black Pearl, in terms of it being like cutting through, you know, responsive tail, going very straight and direct,
Yes.
like that directional shape. Santa Ana as well. Just really high performance skis. But again, they're pretty light, 1,550 grams. So kind of, you know, it's funny to think that that ski is in between, you know, Unlimited and Santa Ana 88 in terms of weight. But that's where, you know, that's where it is. So it's going to appeal to more people.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, you know, we're also getting the air tip technology and damp tech. And so there's just this advanced technology put into the ski that really brings the performance ceiling up pretty high. And what's awesome is it's one of these skis that I feel like, similar to the Ripstick, it's like you could steer a progressing intermediate to the ski and they're going to be able to access it and really reap the benefits. But then, you know, for those who want to raise the bar a little bit, you can get advanced skiers can get on this and really access that higher level of skiing, which I think is just awesome.
It's overlooked.
Yeah.
I don't know why. You know, it doesn't jump off the page to people, which is unfortunate. And, you know, we see a few of those in this and some other categories. I think the E-Pro is another one that's just kind of falls by the wayside. It doesn't get like bounced to the top of anyone's lists. And it's really unfortunate because they are really complete skis. Yeah,
I agree. And, you know, I think it's just, it could be, maybe I'm wrong, but a lot of the times it comes down to the graphics.
Sure.
You know, you walk up to this wall and unfortunately this ski and the E-Pro are going to, you know, just be a little less eye-catching.
Yep.
And it certainly doesn't take away from how great of a ski it is. It's super well-rounded. If you're someone that just wants a smooth, predictable feel, I mean, it does great through crud and firmer snow, but then just given the shape and just the responsiveness level of it, it does awesome in soft snow as well. I believe I even went in the bumps and like I put it to the test in all conditions.
Sure.
And it really handled everything really well.
Yeah, and the men's versions too, the black or the Senders.
Yep.
Same thing. Great skis, and just maybe just a little bland.
Yeah.
From a visual perspective, and they don't get the attention.
Yes.
You know, and it's unfortunate because it's such a good ski.
It is.
But this one we've really enjoyed for quite a while. Salomon QST Lux 92. One of those skis that if after watching all this and doing a bunch of research, you don't know what to get this one.
Yeah.
It's probably the most versatile ski on this wall in that it does everything reasonably well.
Yeah.
It's not the best carver. You know, it's up there with flotation. I think Liberty and Kastle might be a little bit more floaty and drifty, but this thing's pretty good. There's a good amount of rocker and taper to it, so it does stay out of the snow quite easily. One of the more dramatic taper shapes, so that widest part is brought down further into the ski and just gives the ski more lift in the front. But overall, it is very solid, stable, and just incredibly fun and versatile.
Really, really fun. Really poppy and energetic.
Yep.
Is the wood that we get in this, is it poplar?
Poplar, yeah.
Yeah, so we're getting poplar wood, and then in addition to that, we're getting the carbon flax blend.
Yeah.
Which that's where that energy really shines, is it's like just, you know, upon any skier input, it's just immediately giving you that feedback, and it's really fun and playful, and you know, the shape definitely gives you that float and that easy turn initiation, but then they counteracted that with this double sidewall technology, which...
Yeah, more bulk underfoot.
Yeah,
That's
more
great.
bulk underfoot, and just really makes up for that loss of effective edge and gives you, you know, like you said, it's not going to be the best carving ski out there, obviously, but really a surprising amount of edge grip for the shape, I would say.
Yeah, I put a solid few days on the QST 92 last year.
Yeah.
And even in like the shorter length, like I skied it in a 176 and was incredibly impressed at how snappy and poppy, energetic,
Yeah.
and rewarding this was from a skiability
Yeah,
standpoint.
super rewarding. That's a good
Yeah.
way of putting it. And just, yeah, like definitely I would say probably takes the cake for versatility on this wall.
I liked it in the bumps. You know, it does have that shorter radius, which I'm not like always a fan of. I
Yeah.
still like to be able to, I don't like it when my skis turn when I don't ask them to turn.
Yeah.
And when you're kind of on a hair trigger in the moguls, like any amount
Yeah.
of input can get dramatically increased. So
Yeah.
I kind of felt like I altered my style to ski moguls more and did it more methodically. And I think that's kind of how more people like actually ski moguls.
Yeah.
And so by kind of pretending to do that, I think that I was more successful.
Yeah.
But bumps, trees, groomers, steeps, powder,
Does it all.
does it all.
Yeah, and it's kind of similar to what we were saying, and not, I don't think as long of a history, but the Black Pearl 88, it's
Yeah.
kind of like Salomon hasn't changed the QST recipe for good reason. It just does everything so well, and it's been so successful that why change it, you know?
Yeah, they've really been catering to the middle level
Yeah.
with this ski. And again, very accessible for an intermediate, but also rewarding for advanced and
Yeah.
expert skiers. But yeah, totally buyable.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
you do not have to demo this ski. Like if there's, obviously trying is the best way to do it, but like if you're going to get one sight unseen, it's hard to argue against that QST 92.
Yeah.
And what do we got here? Stance 88. A little bit more of a directional feel and flair to it than that QST.
Yep.
Pretty separate in terms of how Salomon does their line. You know, this is the more directional version. It does have metal in here, so lighter weight blend of Karuba and poplar wood. And then we get more of a frame. So when we look at Volkl, we'll see more of a frame. Even Nordica had that partial metal, but full width, just with cutouts in the shovel and in the tail here. So that's a really good way of adding energy and pop into the forebody and through the tail, and keeping the weight pretty low.
Yeah.
But more of that on-trail carving ski, but 29 grams for having 2 sheets of metal, like that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So they've done a great job. You know, another way, kind of opposing what Liberty does, is they use the thinner core profile. So that's how companies definitely help with shaving weight. But yeah, really fun skis and incredibly rewarding in an on-trail format.
Yeah, and it's, again, in that same conversation of skis that are unfortunately overlooked.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because the QST line has such a reputation, whether it's a graphics talking point.
They're better this year than they
I was
were
just
last
gonna
year, I'll
say,
say that.
they've switched it up, and I really do like
Yeah.
what they've done with the graphics, but in years previous, it's just been a little bit more subtle, like the E-Pro that we were
Yeah.
saying, and the Rallybird. It's just a little bit of an overlooked ski for
Yeah.
some reason. And I think the graphics change, and then they wanted to really ramp up the amount of energy, which I think there are some people out there that don't love that shift from the Stance. Just it has a little bit more playfulness and energetic responsiveness than last year's, at least. I think, I don't want to say planky,
Yeah.
but they had more of a, you know what I'm trying to say, like
Yeah.
just a little
Yeah.
bit more of a on snow feel. And
The
this,
old ones were more planted,
yes,
I think, and these
planted
are a little
is a
bit
good,
more
yes.
sprightly.
Sprightly is a beautiful
Okay.
word for that. Yeah, exactly. Which for me, I really loved.
Yeah.
Like, I got on these this year, and I was like, wait, I love these skis.
Right.
And I don't know if last year they didn't stand out as much to me, or just the shift in what they did with this year's iteration. Regardless, I love a strong performing, aggressive ski that you can bring up to speed, but that's also going to have that level of agility.
They did do another thing build-wise. They kind of borrowed from the Reliance with the articulated tight nose banding, 'cause these are sister companies.
Yes.
And as much as they say they don't share technology, I'm not convinced.
Yep.
But basically, they put their own mini articulated Titanal band along the shovel here outside of the window. And so that definitely helped kind of keep the ski a little bit more torsionally fun. So that's where you're seeing an increase in mobility for sure. But yeah, it's 1,540 grams, right up there with, you know, the Salomon and the Rossignol. It's, you know, we see a lot of skis in this range, and impressive what they can do given the power that it has. But yeah, definitely a more directional version. It's not quite as, it's not going to be quite on the performance level as Santa Ana or Kenja over here, or Nela, or even Reliance, but I think that it's a nice middle ground compromise.
I agree.
But yeah, really fun. And now, these are amazing. These Nela 88s are something else.
Yeah.
We talked about quietness in a few different skis. Armada Reliance, very quiet, very smooth. Liberty does it very effectively as well, but none do it like this. This Titech top sheet is the big culprit here. So metal on the top, and that's kind of bolstered by a lighter weight wood core. Having metal here as the first thing that your boot binding ski kind of combination goes to, not only makes it more responsive, but also is like the last point of vibration filtration.
Yeah.
So it does a great job of keeping it smooth and quiet. All the while performance is super high. And
not incredibly heavy either.
No, for such a robust ski in terms of performance.
Yeah.
You know, 1,550 grams, it's very competitive with these high-end skis.
Yeah, just like we were saying, the Lux 92 could take the cake for versatility. This one definitely wins the award for like dampness and quiet nature.
Yeah, and just overall quality too.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just astoundingly smooth.
Yeah, I really love them. I was surprised by it too, because just not a ski I would necessarily grab, but it was just, I was able to ski with a lot of confidence. They were super reliable. And if you're someone who spends most of your time on piste and you just want predictability and stability, you really, I
Can't
don't know.
do better.
It's a no-brainer,
Yeah.
and you're going to pay for that. You know, like it's definitely a higher quality, higher end ski, but it's a super rewarding ski, and
there's ways to offset costs all over the place.
Yes.
If you want this bad enough, it takes minimal life change decisions.
Yeah.
Whether it's coffee, eating out at lunch, not going out to dinner, one fewer drink.
Having ramen every night.
Right. You know, but you can find, if you're spending $600 or $700 on a ski,
I completely agree.
it's not a huge leap to think that an $1,100 or a $1,200 ski is unattainable. Like, it's not unattainable. You know, you just have to revisit your finances for a second.
And I think I would strongly recommend, if you are considering it, which I would say so many people should, get on them.
Yep.
You know, take a few runs if you have the ability to demo them and try them. And the second you take a couple runs on them, you're going to realize, okay, this is definitely worth the price.
Yeah, it's, you know, we try our best not to use superlatives around here describing skis, but it's hard not to when it comes to quality in the Stockli world.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then that tail too, like you were saying, if you're spending most of your time on trail, this is what you want.
Yeah.
You know, from a ski like this, flat, lot of metal, minimal camber. We were kind of joking yesterday talking about the Montero series of skis, how like Stockli would consider this to be a very rockered profile and a highly tapered shape.
Yeah.
You know, that just shows their emphasis for on-trail precision and quality.
Right.
But yep, love the Nela 88,
Yep.
incredibly quiet and smooth. And it's kind of a nice foil for the last ski here,
Yeah.
the Kenja, which is a little bit louder. You know, like as much as I love skiing the Kendo, which is the same build as this, it is a louder and slightly harsher ride. So like kind of using a sports car mentality. It's not the plush cruiser that the
No.
Stockli is. Like this is a much more kind of heavier sports car oriented ski where you're gonna feel the bumps, but the ski does not care.
Yeah.
It goes right through. So one of the heavier skis, 1,760 grams. And yeah, you can just kind of feel that Volkl precision just
Yeah.
come right through.
Yeah, this is a top contender for a hard charging carbine ski
Yeah.
on this wall. It's definitely meant to be on the feet of a strong skier, potentially someone with a race background who wants more versatility and on-trail capabilities that don't necessarily require a narrow race ski, but this is a burly ski.
Yep. Yeah, and 100%. This is your former racer. Like, I raced in high school. I raced in college. I'm done now. I want an all-mountain ski.
Exactly.
This is one that you get. And a lot of those people might even think that this is like too wide,
Yeah,
you know, or too free ride
Definitely.
oriented. But yeah, definitely has the capability to make some of the cleanest and deepest turns out there. You know, some of the updates from last year, this ski now gets the tailored carbon tips, so makes the turn initiation a little bit more crisp and easy. And then that metal frame, that Titanal frame, does a great job at putting emphasis on the edges. And that's where you get kind of that harsher ride, whereas skis like Nordica or even Salomon in the middle here, but specifically Nordica, where they're taking metal out of the very sides of the ski to kind of boost its versatility and free ride mentality. This is kind of the opposite, where they're like, nope, we want power to the edge.
Yeah.
And that's where this build comes into play.
Yeah, and is it 2 sheets of metal?
Yeah, one on the bottom, and then,
And
I
then
mean,
they
the top frame is like 3 different pieces.
Right, and you can see it just
Yeah.
the way they have it shaped and placed on here.
Yeah, and it's interesting because this middle portion here extends into the frame
Yeah,
in the tips and tails, but it leaves gaps. So it allows for the proper flex of the ski. And so when we're dealing with like their 3D radius, you're able to access different parts of the ski based on pressure. Similar to that Dynastar, like this is a skier ski.
yeah,
And there is, I don't want to say a learning curve, but especially to get the most out of that 3D radius, I think that it takes a few runs, few days.
yep.
But you can really transition between short, medium, long radius turns very easily and very effectively.
Yeah, and the alterations that they made for this year's model, it seems as though it's just a little bit more reactive to input, which is nice.
Yeah.
But you're still definitely needing to drive the ski
Right.
with a lot of intent, and it's not for everybody to just hop on and figure out.
You had mentioned the word planky earlier, and this used to be a lot plankier.
Yes.
These updates that you're talking about really make the ski more lively and receptive.
Yep.
And doesn't take any off the top in terms of the
I
performance.
was just going to say, it doesn't sacrifice
No.
any level of stability or strength by
Yeah.
any means.
Yeah.
So it's cool when they're able to achieve that.
Right.
It's amazing.
Nope, they did it with this one, and psyched that it's on this wall. And,
Yeah.
and it's amazing how these skis provide like a nice kind of rounding out, you know, where you kind of go back and forth, and then the Volkl at the end is usually like,
Yep.
you know, we've had the Blazes up here before as well.
Right.
That is the lighter, easier skiing version, but
Yep.
nice to kind of end on a Kenja and at that high performance spectrum.
Yeah.
That's it. 21 skis, I think. Women's all mountain, 88 to 92 millimeter underfoot. Great range, lots of variances here. Feel free to reach out, Emily or myself, have any questions. anything that you think that should have been on this wall and didn't make the cut, we're happy to talk about why that may or may not be.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be on snow soon. Hopefully doing another women's comparison coming up as well. So we will look forward to that, and we'll see you out there on the hill.
Bye.